Well, hello, and I'm Mal Burns.
Hi, and I'm Maria Corla from Hypergrid Business.
And we're here to bring you Metaworld news, all the latest goings on in what we call the metaverse, the world of immersive spaces online. And yes, something's been happening this week. It's not the busiest of weeks, but we have a few things to tell you. Um, Main news, I will leave. VR news headlines we don't have. VR press lines we don't have. Social worlds news, just a quickie before we move on to the hypergrid and open simulator. A post at spectrum.ieee.org by somebody called David Kushner has an article on Philip Rosedale's gutsy plan for a new virtual reality empire. Oh dear, Empire, eh? A post called Beyond Second Life. And incidentally, on Friday, High Fidelity were conducting a massive stress test on a particular region. I don't know how many people turned up, but the idea was to really stress test hundreds of avatars simultaneously, as it were. More on that kind of stuff as we get it. But moving on, I'm going to hand over to Maria, basically, for the principal hypergrid news. So over to you, Maria.
Thanks, Mal. The big story this week was that the Gloebits are getting merchant payouts, and ZanGrid has rolled out the currency. Gloebits are a multi-grid currency. They're being tested on a couple of dozen different grids right now. And what it is you have a wallet with Gloebits in it. You can connect all your avatars to the same wallet. And you can also travel the hypergrid with a single avatar and spend all that money in all the different grids that support it. And a grid can have some regions have with Globit, some regions with whatever other currency they want to have. So ZanGrid leaves it up to the region owners, and there's a couple of shopping regions that are now Globit enabled. And if you have Globits, you can teleport in and spend them. If you don't have Globits, you can teleport in, and it will prompt you to buy Globits. And it's a little like signing up for PayPal. You give it some money, you set up a user account, and you connect your avatar, and you're in business. And everything is done automatically through instant messages to your in-world avatar. It's a pretty nice system. They've been testing it for the past 6 months or so. Mobius Grid was the first one to go live with it. And now, as I mentioned, ZanGrid has set up shop as well. And so this is an option for the merchants who want to sell stuff to hypergrid visitors. And there's a vending system called Vertec, and they are working to support Globits as well. They already have it in their vendors, and they're working to get better integration with the backend system. So this is something that they're very much interested in. So that was the big story this week. If you can, stop by and check it out. I think it's a really great thing for the hypergrid economy. Also on the economic news, the cost to register your grid with the U.S. Copyright Office dropped from $105 to $6 for 3 years. So what this means is you get your DMCA registration. You can be anywhere in the world. This is not just for American companies. This is for any company with American users or with content from American creators. And this registration protects you from lawsuits by Americans. Other countries don't have the DMCA law, but they have laws that are very, very similar. And if you are in compliance with the US DMCA law, then odds are pretty much 99% that you're in compliance with all the other laws out there. The main rule is you are protected from lawsuits by creators as long as you take down content that is infringing when people tell you that you have infringing content on your grid. That's pretty much the big rule here. If you don't have DMCA registration, no one's going to go after you. This is not like an enforcement law, like a speeding law or something. It is a protection feature that costs $6 for 3 years. It's a super huge bargain. A lot of major grids already have it, including Kitely, which is in Israel, DigiWorlds, a whole bunch of other grids. This protects you from lawsuits, and it tells people you're serious about content protection and you're serious about the future of your company and your corporate brand. So I strongly recommend that if you have a commercial grid, that you set this up. It's very quick. It's an online form. It's $6. There's really no reason not to do it.
It's so cheap, isn't it? I mean, and it offers protection, I presume, to grids hosted outside the USE too.
Yes, yes. So, for example, Kitely, as I mentioned, is hosted in Israel. Yeah. And if you are in DMCA compliance, that's pretty much the strictest law. So if you're compliance with them, you're pretty much covered for all the other countries out there too. It's a really good system. And I'm glad that they dropped the price for it quite a bit. If you want to set up a new grid that's on your home computer, we've talked about the Dreamworld installer before. Yep. They now support a built-in DNS service where if you don't have your own domain name, they will give you a free domain name so that you don't have to give people an address like 55.26.12.1057. You can just say people mygrid.dns.com or whatever system that they have for you.
I must say I haven't got around to trying that out, but it's on my list of things to do because routing loopbacks and things with the original one was a nightmare. Whereas I've used an online IP before and it usually works out fine. So good news there.
It's also a good thing because many home-based ISPs change your IP address on you. Whenever your modem restarts or they do a reset or whatever, your IP address changes. And now if you gave people an address that's a numerical address to your grid, nobody can teleport in anymore because, that's gone. It's like some other random person now has it. Yes. So that's another reason to have that. I do have to say that running a personal grid is a little bit like being your own network engineer. This is not a simple thing to do. This is why I'd rather pay money and have someone else do it for me. Just like I don't host my own websites, I use WordPress and, other stuff. But if you do want to do it, Dreamworld is trying to make it as easy as possible with all sorts of different options for it.
Yeah, and I would say for builders and creators, it is rather nice being able to do stuff offline on your own region and then not have people popping up saying works in progress. You can wait till it's finished before you put it in your suitcase and take it onto the public grids.
And also, if you sell stuff anywhere or if you build commercially, you want to build on your own computer at home first because then you have all the backups, you have all the original content. Yeah. This is all yours. No matter what happens to the grid, you still have all your original stuff. Indeed. And I recommend after you build at home, then you upload to whatever grid that you want to sell it on or use it on. Like if you want to sell it on inworlds, do not build it in inworlds because it's really hard to get it out of inworlds. Don't build it inside Second Life. It's really hard to get it out of Second Life. Build it on your own grid. Have a little warehouse and production facility for yourself and your employees. On your own computer or your own server, whatever you do, and then upload it to the systems where you're going to be distributing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And next, Leighton Marjoram, one of the OpenSim users, she's got a blog where she posts about various things. It's called Lighthouse Point. She's a virtual world researcher and an activist and student and so forth.
And she likes shopping.
And she loves shopping.
Yeah.
She gave us the reprint rights to a giant series of articles that we pulled together into one long piece, all about her favorite places to shop on a hypergrid. It is a huge list, all sorts of great things there. She's got some great pictures. So even just if you like looking at pictures of things, check it out. And it's the title of that is My Favorite Shopping Places on a Hypergrid. So it should be easy for you to find. It's right on the homepage. Yeah. Speaking of free stuff, I talked last week about the changes that are happening in hypergrid business. One of the things that we're doing is offering free ads and free land offers on hypergrid business. So if you are a grid or anybody, if you're a merchant, whatever, you can send me a free ad and I will post it on hypergrid business. And several people have already sent us some really cute ads that we've got running up there now.
Good.
And if you have a free land offer, particularly one without a lot of strings attached, send that to me and I will post that up on a free land in OpenSim page. And I will be promoting it more throughout the website as well. So right now we've got Tangle Grid up there. They're offering free shops of up to 350 prims in their commercial regions. And people can set up their shops even if they're not grid residents. So you can hypergrid into to Tangle Grid and get a free shop to sell your stuff or to post your Kitely market ads. And you can get a free parcel for your house that's up to 478 prims that you can build anything you want on it. Again, open to the hypergrid. Anybody can teleport in and get one. All you got to do is click once a month on a sign to keep it. So there's no time limits, nothing. The only restriction is you only get one per person. And then they also have free houses and apartments with up to 350 prims. Again, a hypergridder can get this. All you do is click once to keep it. So excellent, excellent deals. I really like the way that they've set it up. Tangle Grid is, of course, well known on the hypergrid. They do the hypergrid hunt every couple months, and they're hypergrid enabled grid. So this is something that they're really doubling down on. So I love this as a model for how to do it. So if you're a grid, you want to bring in new residents, check it out, see what they offer, see if you can match their offer, or at least, get close to it.
All right.
And I also posted a little how-to article if you want to make an ad, some tips for how to make an effective ad, and what works and what doesn't, and because I want the ads to be effective. I want them to bring in new people into OpenSim, and I mentioned this last week. Something like 3/4 or more of our visitors are here for VR stuff, not OpenSim stuff. So this is an opportunity for you to get your ad out in front of 100,000 people who don't know about OpenSim, but who are interested in VR. So these are like tech-interested people. They might be interested in setting up a virtual environment. So organize your ad to appeal to them. And that is my roundup of the top stuff that happened on OpenSim this past week.
Okay, Maria. Well, thank you very much for that and a brief thought there. So I have a few other snippets, but before I bring you those, I'm going to switch over to James Outloud, who's sitting here just to find out if there's anything new from the developer front. Over to you, James.
Yeah, hi Mel. Yeah, they're always a busy time meeting at the developers' office hours, and this week was really interesting because, well, first of all, Maria, you said something about IP version 6 in your news. Is that correct? With DreamWorlds? No? Oh, okay.
No, DNS support.
Oh, okay.
In
okay.
DreamWorlds.
Okay, right. Some people are reporting problems with IP version 6, and the discussion kind of went to the point that it's really not a server issue, it's more the viewer issue as far as having compatibility with that. But people have been reporting some problems that they can't log in because of, I don't know where along the chain the IP version is causing a problem, but it's actually changing the code in an Open Simulator server looks like it would be a very difficult, challenging thing. The other main issue really was really talking about versioning of Open Simulator code and the challenges of grid admins and grid owners that make commitments to a certain branch or a certain modifications, a certain physics engine, and how does that affect progress of the code to the next version? We're looking at going to version 9, is hopefully to be released very soon, but there are many grid owners that are going to not be able to go forward with that because they're committed to something else in a previous version. And it was quite an interesting discussion. It was got a little heated at times. And if you're interested, you might want to jump into the office hours notes to track along with that. It's my opinion was there's really not one answer. My personal preference is to stay current with the most recent code, but I certainly understand people for whom that's an issue. And so that really was the major points of the meeting this week. Again, there's active code contributions going on. There are 14 code commits since the last meeting. And, work is progressing to working on the permissions model and getting that version 9.0 9.1 or 9.2 released. And that's about it.
Okay, well, thank you, James.
Yeah, sure.
What would we be without the developers, eh?
We wouldn't be much without the developers. We wouldn't be here.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, well, moving on to a brief sort of hypergrid roundup again. I should have actually mentioned the next two back when I was doing other social worlds, to be honest. Oh no, sorry, I've just opened the wrong blasted thingy, haven't I? Right. Never mind what I just said. Never mind what I just said. Over in Second Life, that we don't particularly cover that much, it is obviously coming up, as we'll find out later, to Valentine's Day, and the women, largely women's thing, 2 billion rising. There was a big annual online celebration for that in Second Life on February the 14th, and it ties in with celebrations all around the world in the real world too. Your best way of catching that is, if you haven't seen a post on Google Plus, is to go to Safia Widdershins, if you know her, or the magazine Prim Perfect, which you can Google easily enough. But a worthy event, it'd probably be filmed or streamed, so keep an eye on that. Now, back on the hypergrid territory, via Google Plus here, Magnus Binder, Magnuz, and then Binder, has a post about the hypergrid travelogue for January 2017. And the link you want for this is a web link, obviously, HTTP, blah, blah. And it's binders.world/gridstats, or one word, /HG1701. And it's I take it this is probably something you see, Maria. Basically, it's just a monthly look at January for let's see, the website is now an illustrated catalogue with hypergrid addresses and 591 snapshots from the 197 hypergrid-enabled virtual worlds visited during the last couple of weeks, i.e. January. He's chatted with people and everything. So it's basically a monitor of kind of what's out there. And obviously, OpenSim World and Hyperica under new management cover this sort of thing too. But I thought it worthy of a plug here because they do actually have quite a lot of information on that site. And then for my final extra, yes, I mentioned, oh yeah, a charity weekend coming up. This is a post via Google from Mind Their Athanasios. I think of them as Mind There Always. Never mind. And originally shared by Oshi Shikigami. Next weekend, I presume that is next weekend as opposed to this weekend. This isn't very clever of them. I wish they wouldn't just say next. We'll come to this later. Anyway, but there's a charity event for Doctors Without Borders. It's spelt like tenants, boarding house borders, but it's meant to be borders as in geographic borders. And it's an event being held on the third rock grid, and it's going to have live readings of poems and all sorts of things. It's free to enter, but they obviously have donations for Doctors Without Borders. And you can actually get more information on this event by going to www.nobordersfestival.org. And yep, I think that's about it, really. So that is either going on this weekend or it's coming up next weekend. And I believe it's next weekend, but I hope I haven't got that wrong. And finally, a post that went out from my one of my feeds earlier today. There is a site called issue.com that published sort of flipboard type glossy magazines. And the latest issue of the Virtual Education Journal is there. You can find this on my inworld Second Life feed, but I've also put it on our Metaworld news feed. Whether it's embedded or whether you have to click on a link, I don't know. But there's a lot about Second Life here, but it is, and there's also a lot about Unity. It's basically a glossy magazine all about using virtual worlds, various virtual worlds and building techniques for educational projects. So that comes. What you can do is you can go to the site issue.com, which is ISSW.com, and you just need to do a search for VEJ, which is short for Virtual Education Journal. And that's about it from all my extras. So just panning away here. Oh, yes, we're back to our logo. So I know all my screens are done too. So that's about it for this week's news. Now, don't go away, or don't go away for too long, that is, because in approximately half an hour, we will be coming back on stream again with our live weekly discussion program, the InWorld Review. We'll be joined by Avia Bon, who is from OS Grid and responsible for some Valentine's events. And we'll also be joined, I hope, by Tosha Ryan, who, Tosha Tyran, I should say, who has built a wonderful region that we went to visit on this week's Hypergrid Safari. And I was so impressed. I thought, get her on for a chat, because I'm sure there's other issues lurking under the surface as a result of that build. So they'll both be joining Maria and James and me for InWorld Review in about half an hour's time. So hopefully you will keep this channel open and keep watching us when we come on again then. For now, it's bye from me and Maria, and of course from James, and we'll be back with the news again this time next week. Bye for now.
So the video's running now.